Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
In the hush of evening, when the world quiets down and shadows soften across the earth, your mind begins to prepare for a journey. You close your eyes, and behind the lids lies a vast ocean that no map could chart, an ocean made not of water but of flickering thoughts, fragments of memory, and sparks of imagination. This is the ocean of night, and each wave that rises within it is a dream, a strange and fleeting vision carried on the tides of sleep. Every night, without fail, the mind drifts into this sea, weaving together stories so vivid that they can make you tremble or smile, wonder or weep. Scientists have spent centuries leaning close to this mystery, trying to understand why the brain does such peculiar work while the body rests. To float upon this ocean is to encounter the secret rhythms of the brain. As you sink into the first stages of sleep, the brain shifts from the hum of waking life to slower, gentler currents. The neurons, which fired busily through the day, quiet their frantic chatter. Your breathing deepens, your muscles loosen, and yet the brain remains quietly awake, performing hidden labors. It sorts through the day's clutter, tucking away experiences like a careful librarian. But when you drift further, when sleep takes you into its deeper waters, something stranger begins. The brain does not stay still. It begins to light up again. In rapid bursts, sparks leap between cells, forming patterns that do not follow the logic of day. The stage is set for dreams. The ocean of night swirls with fragments, a voice you half remember, a place you once stood, a color that carries emotion more than meaning. Your brain gathers these fragments and stirs them together, crafting stories that often defy reason. Scientists describe this stage as REM sleep, named for the rapid eye movements that dance behind your closed lids. In REM, the brain is almost as active as it is when awake, though the body lies motionless. It is as if the mind has split itself in two, one part resting, the other dancing wildly in the dark. Here, imagination has no walls, and so the ocean becomes endless. For centuries, people believed that dreams were messages from gods, omens from spirits, or whispers from the dead. In ancient Mesopotamia, clay tablets recorded dream visions as signs of fate. The Greeks imagined gods stepping into human sleep, wrapping mortals in illusions of warning or guidance. But today, with quiet instruments pressed to the skull, scientists see something both more ordinary and more wondrous. They see that dreams rise from the living circuits of the brain itself. Not divine whispers, but sparks of neurons speaking to one another. And yet the wonder remains, for in these sparks the mind paints whole worlds. A trick of biology, yes, but also a kind of nightly poetry. Imagine a painter with too many brushes, too many colors. That is your brain in REM sleep. It dips into the palette of memory, the shape of your childhood home, the echo of laughter, the scent of rain on earth. It mixes them freely, sometimes absurdly, and the canvas of the dream accepts it all. You may walk through a forest made of books or sit at a table where the moon pours tea. The dream does not need to be possible, it only needs to be felt. Neuroscientists studying this strange theater have found that the brain regions involved in emotion, like the amygdala, glow brightly in dreams. Meanwhile, the regions responsible for logic and control rest quietly. This is why the dream accepts impossibility so easily. You do not question why the sea is made of glass or why a stranger has your mother's voice. In dreams, the heart rules over reason. Yet even in this loosened state, dreams serve a purpose. Researchers believe that while we drift in REM, the brain is busy sorting, weaving, and shaping memory. Experiences from the day are not stored as neat files, but as scattered fragments. Dreams may be the mind's way of testing how they fit together. A fear from the day might become a storm in the dream. A joy might reappear as a banquet. The brain rehearses, experiments, and strengthens connections, ensuring that what matters stays while what is unneeded dissolves. The ocean of night becomes a workshop where memory and imagination meet to build the scaffolding of identity. Consider the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep in the brain. During waking hours, it helps to capture experiences. At night, it whispers them back to the cortex, where they can be stored long-term. But the hippocampus does not recite events plainly. It mixes them with older memories, weaving patterns that stretch across years. This mixing may be why dreams can feel both strange and deeply familiar. The face of a childhood friend may appear in a city you have never seen. A classroom may turn into a meadow. These are not errors, but the creative weaving of the brain, blending fragments into a tapestry that is more than memory, less than reality. Scientists using brain. Scans have seen how different regions glow in the dream state. The visual cortex lights up as if the eyes were still open, painting images behind closed lids. The motor regions stir, even though the body lies still, as if rehearsing movements that never occur. The limbic system, seat of emotions, flares with color, giving dreams their intensity. And yet the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that insists on reason, quiets down. This silence allows dreams to flow unchallenged, absurdities accepted as ordinary. The dream becomes a theater without critics, a play performed to an audience that does not question the script. The ocean of night is not always calm. Sometimes it storms. Nightmares crash through the gentle rhythm, startling the sleeper with fear. Why does the brain allow such visions? Some researchers believe nightmares are rehearsals, a way to practice survival in the safety of sleep. To run from danger in a dream may prepare the mind for dangers of the day. Others think nightmares are the brain's way of confronting and digesting fears, breaking them into pieces that can be endured. Whatever the reason, even the darkest storms of night are part of the ocean's work. Across cultures, across centuries, people have sought meaning in this nightly ocean. Ancient Chinese texts described dreams as journeys of the soul. Native traditions spoke of dream catchers, webs meant to filter visions. Modern science, though it strips away spirits and omens, does not strip away the wonder. To learn that dreams are the brain's own creations is to stand in awe of the creativity within us. Every night, your brain becomes an artist, a storyteller, a musician. It builds worlds out of sparks, using nothing but the raw material of thought. To call this ordinary is to forget the miracle of being alive. As you lie in bed, drifting across this hidden sea, you are not merely resting. You are exploring, rehearsing, remembering. You are traveling through a world made entirely by your own brain, yet surprising enough to make you laugh, shiver, or cry. In the quiet of night, the self becomes both dreamer and dream. And as the tides of REM rise and fall, the brain continues its ancient, endless labor, turning the raw stuff of memory into the stories of night. Scientists measure it with electrodes, chart it in graphs, but for you it remains an ocean, dark and endless, waiting each evening. The gentle mystery of why we dream may never be fully solved, but perhaps it does not need solving. It is enough to know that the brain, in its rest, becomes a poet, and every dream is a verse written on the waters of night. And when the cycle drifts back, when REM recedes into deeper sleep, the ocean quiets again. The waves sink, the colors fade, and the body drifts in heavier silence. But the ocean never disappears. It waits patient for the next swell of imagination, the next cascade of sparks. By morning, when you wake, the shore of waking life greets you again. You may carry fragments with you, a strange image, a fleeting feeling. Most will sink back into the depths unremembered. But the ocean remains infinite, and it will rise again when the eyes close. To know this is to carry a kind of comfort, that even in the stillness of sleep, your brain is alive, restless, and full of dreams. The ocean of night has many layers, each deeper than the last, and to drift further into it is to encounter new mysteries. Where the first currents of dreaming were light and playful, filled with flashes of memory and colors, the deeper waters hold something more profound. In these depths, the brain is not only rehearsing the fragments of the day, it is weaving them into the fabric of who you are. Sleep scientists often speak of consolidation, the careful process by which fleeting experiences are stitched into lasting memory. Yet what the instruments cannot fully capture is the poetry of this hidden work. Each dream is both a record and an invention, a merging of truth and imagination. To dream is to remember, but also to create. Consider how fragile memory truly is. The day is filled with countless impressions, faces in a crowd, words overheard, the taste of food, the feeling of sunlight on the skin. Most of these dissolve like mist, gone before sleep comes. But some remain, and the question is why. Neuroscience tells us that during sleep, the hippocampus replays fragments of the day in subtle bursts of activity. Like a storyteller rehearsing lines, it repeats patterns to the cortex, embedding them into stronger networks. Dreams may be the visible echo of this rehearsal, the stage upon which the brain performs its quiet consolidation. A child learning to ride a bicycle may dream of wheels and falling. A musician may dream of notes and rhythms. These are not random illusions, but reflections of practice, written into the deep circuits of the mind. The deeper into REM cycles you drift, the more complex the stories become. In the first dreams of the night, fragments may tumble together loosely, producing fleeting images. But as the cycles repeat, the narratives lengthen, the worlds grow more coherent. By the last hours before dawn, dreams can become entire journeys with beginnings, middles, and ends. This pattern suggests that the brain is not simply scattering fragments, but is actively building and testing connections. The ocean of night is not chaos. It has tides, rhythms, and structure as intricate as any symphony. One of the most curious features of dreams is their emotional weight. A dream can leave you shaken or elated long after waking, even if the images themselves fade. Neuroscientists have traced this to the amygdala and limbic circuits, which burn brightly during REM. These regions are ancient, tied to survival, emotion, and instinct. By keeping them active in dreams, the brain seems to be revisiting and reshaping emotions. Some researchers suggest that dreams are a kind of overnight therapy, a chance for the mind to process feelings too tangled for the daylight. The fear of failure might become a chase through shadowed streets. The joy of love might appear as a dance under impossible stars. In the safety of sleep, emotions are explored, softened, and integrated. Dreams are not only memories rehearsed, they are emotions rehearsed as well. The ocean of night is also a place of imagination unbound. While the brain sorts and consolidates, it also experiments. Ideas that never surfaced in waking life may arise in dreams, where logic has loosened and boundaries have faded. Great minds throughout history have described inspirations that arrived in dreams. The chemist Kekulé envisioning the shape of the benzene ring as a snake biting its tail. The inventor Elias Howe dreaming of spears that led him to design the sewing machine needle. Artists who woke with images they could barely describe but later painted into masterpieces. These are not accidents. They are glimpses of the brain's creativity at play when freed from the strict rules of waking thought. To drift deeper into the ocean of night is to glimpse the creative core of the human mind. Yet for all this richness, most dreams are forgotten. Within minutes of waking, the details slip away, leaving only fragments. Scientists suggest this forgetfulness is part of the design. The prefrontal cortex, which records and organizes in waking life, is quiet during REM. Without it, dreams are rarely stored in full. This forgetting may be a blessing. If every dream stayed with us, the boundaries between waking and dreaming would blur. Memory would be overwhelmed by endless layers of unreality. Instead, the brain allows only some fragments to surface, like seashells carried to shore by the tide. These fragments may inspire or disturb, but they are never the whole ocean. The ocean itself remains vast, hidden, known only to the dreamer while it lasts. Even though dreams are fleeting, the brain's nightly work leaves lasting traces. Skills practiced by day are strengthened by night. Athletes perform better after dreaming. Students recall more after sleep. Even problem-solving improves as the dreaming mind rehearses and recombines information. The ocean of night, though intangible, leaves ripples in waking life. Each wave of REM sleep polishes and shapes, preparing the mind for another day. To understand this is to realize that dreaming is not idle fancy. It is labor hidden but essential, as necessary as breath or heartbeat. Imagine for a moment that you could watch the waves of your brain as you sleep. Electrodes record the pulses, charts trace the rhythms, and in those patterns lies the story of the night. Stage by stage, the brain moves through cycles, the shallow waters of light sleep, the depths of slow-wave rest, the bursts of REM. Each stage has its purpose, but REM is where the mind's theater comes alive. The cycles repeat through the night, each lasting longer, each taking you deeper. By dawn, you may have spent 2 hours or more in the dream state, carried across an ocean of imagination you will mostly forget. And yet, the traces remain within you, shaping who you are and how you feel. There is also a mystery in how dreams unify the self. The waking mind is scattered, pulled by tasks and distractions. In dreams, however, the self becomes fluid. You may be both participant and observer, both yourself and another. Identities shift, roles change, and yet there is always a thread connecting the dreamer to the dream. Some psychologists suggest that this fluidity is a mirror of the brain's plasticity, its ability to rewire and adapt. The ocean of night reflects the flexibility of the mind, its endless potential for change. Dreams also connect us to something timeless. Across cultures and ages, humans have dreamed, and the themes often echo one another. Flying through the air, falling, being chased, these are not bound to one culture or century. They are universal, woven into the shared fabric of Huma. Nidhi, to drift into the ocean of night, is to enter a collective realm, one that unites us in the simple fact of dreaming. Even if the details differ, the patterns endure. This universality suggests that dreams are not accidents, but deep expressions of the shared machinery of the human brain. In the quiet of the night, while the body lies still, the brain dances through this work. The sleeper is unaware, the dream vanishes by morning, but the labor continues faithfully. To understand dreams is to glimpse the hidden intelligence of the body, the ways it cares for itself in silence. You need not remember the dream for it to matter. The ocean of night touches you even when you forget its waves. By day you carry its gifts, clearer memory, softened emotions, sparks of creativity. You wake renewed, shaped by something you cannot recall, a nightly grace hidden in the folds of sleep. And so the ocean deepens, carrying you further from the shore of waking life. The brain continues its weaving, its rehearsing, its painting of impossible worlds. To dream is to drift, to let go of control, to allow the brain's deeper wisdom to speak. Scientists may chart the patterns, poets may sing of the mystery, but the truth is simple: to dream is to be human. It is the ocean within us, vast and endless, rising each night when the eyes close. It is the song of the brain in its quiet hours, the poetry of neurons in the dark. The ocean of night always has an ending, though it does not close with a sharp edge. Instead, it fades like a tide, slowly retreating until the waking shore begins to appear. The third act of dreaming is not as wild as the first sparks, nor as deep as the middle waters. It is a gentle resolution, a closing lullaby sung by the brain to itself. Here, the currents of sleep slow down, guiding you back toward the surface. But even as morning approaches, the ocean still has secrets to share, quiet lessons woven into the waves. To reach the end of a night of dreams is to carry a piece of that vast, hidden world into daylight, even if only as a faint trace, like salt on the skin after swimming. During these final cycles, the brain's rhythms shift once more. The long stretches of deep, slow-wave sleep grow shorter, while the episodes of REM grow longer, sometimes lasting nearly an hour. This means that the richest dreams, the most elaborate journeys, often come just before waking. They are closer to the surface of consciousness, easier to recall, though still fragile. These dreams may feel immersive, filled with detail and emotion, almost indistinguishable from reality. Scientists think this timing is not random. The longer, later REM stages may be the brain's final rehearsal before the day, a last polishing of memory, a last release of emotion. The ocean of night is preparing you for shore. Yet, what does it mean to prepare? To the brain, it may mean clearing space for new learning, washing away unnecessary noise, and strengthening what matters most. Studies have shown that people deprived of REM sleep struggle with focus, memory, and even emotional balance. Without dreams, the waking mind is unsteady, like a traveler without rest. The ocean of night is not a luxury, but a necessity. It is a quiet maintenance of the self, carried out in darkness, essential for survival. To wake refreshed is to have been shaped, even unknowingly, by this hidden process. In these final hours, the brain continues its work of weaving emotion into memory. Fears may soften, joys may deepen, grief may be carried more gently. Some researchers describe dreams as overnight therapy, where the brain can revisit emotional events without the sharp sting of stress hormones. In waking life, the body responds to stress with a flood of chemicals, but in REM, those stress chemicals are muted. The dream becomes a safe space, a soft arena where feelings can be re-experienced without overwhelming the self. To drift in these final dreams is to heal in silence, to mend the fabric of the mind one thread at a time. There is also a mystery in how the dreaming mind connects to creativity. In these last cycles, the boundaries of imagination remain wide open. The logic of waking life has not yet returned to full strength, and so the dream continues to invent, to rearrange, to experiment. It is no wonder that many people recall strange or inspired dreams in the early morning hours. Some of these dreams may feel like puzzles, some like gifts, some like riddles wrapped in color. To wake from them is to carry an ember of creativity into the day, often without realizing where it came from. The brain, in its nightly artistry, offers inspiration freely, like shells scattered on the sand by the retreating tide. But not every dream is gentle. Nightmares sometimes visit even in these later cycles, striking with vivid force. They may jolt the sleeper awake, leaving the heart racing. Though unpleasant, nightmares also play a role. Some scientists believe they are a form of emotional rehearsal, forcing the brain to confront fear and build resilience. Others see them as signals, reflections of stress or trauma that the mind is still working through. Whatever their cause, nightmares remind us that the ocean of night is vast and unpredictable. Its storms are part of its truth. To dream is to surrender control, and with surrender comes both beauty and fear. When dawn comes, the line between dreaming and waking begins to blur. The sleeper may drift in and out of awareness, catching fragments of dream as they slip away. This liminal space, sometimes called hypnopompia, is a fragile threshold. Images may linger half-real as the brain shifts gears. Some people find inspiration here, as if the tide has left gifts upon the shore. Others simply let the fragments fade, knowing they cannot be held. To wake is to leave the ocean behind, even if it clings softly for a moment longer. And yet, even as the dreams dissolve, their influence remains. You may feel calmer or restless or subtly changed without knowing why. The brain has done its work quietly, leaving no visible trace. But the traces are real. Memory is stronger, emotions are balanced, creativity is nourished. The self you carry into the day is not the same as the one that closed its eyes. Each night remakes us in ways small and profound through the poetry of dreams. The ocean of night leaves its imprint, even if we cannot see it. To reflect on this is to see dreams not as illusions, but as a vital rhythm of life. Just as the tides shape the shore, so dreams shape the mind. They remind us that rest is not absence, but activity of a different kind. The brain, ever restless, continues its labor even in stillness, caring for memory, emotion, and imagination. To honor sleep is to honor this hidden work, to recognize that the self is not built only in the daylight, but also in the soft hours of night. When you think of your dreams, whether remembered or forgotten, consider them as gifts from your own brain, verses written in secret. They are messages not from outside, but from within, expressions of your deepest patterns. Some may amuse you, some may frighten you, some may vanish before you can grasp them. But all are part of the same ocean, the same nightly tide that carries you back and forth between waking and rest. The ocean of night belongs to you, and you belong to it, as surely as the shore belongs to the sea. And so the story closes gently, not with answers, but with wonder. Why does the brain create dreams every night? Scientists offer many reasons: memory, emotion, survival, creativity. Each explanation is true in part, but none is complete. The truth may be that dreaming is not meant to be explained fully, but experienced. It is a mystery that accompanies us, a nightly reminder of the brain's depth. To dream is to be human, to be alive, to be carried into a world that exists only for you and vanishes with the dawn. It is both ordinary and extraordinary, both biology and poetry. And as you open your eyes each morning, you carry with you the quiet assurance that tonight, when sleep comes again, the ocean will rise once more, waiting to hold you in its endless embrace. Sleep arrives each night like a lantern carried into darkness. Its light does not shine outward but inward, illuminating the hidden chambers of the mind. Beneath the closed eyelids, this lantern glows, and with it comes a transformation. The body rests, muscles loosen, the outer world fades, and yet within the brain shimmers with secret activity. To call sleep an absence would be untrue. It is not the shutting off of life, but a different form of living, a quieter rhythm, a slower music. The lantern of sleep guides the mind through landscapes unseen, revealing how imagination is nourished in silence. For as long as humans have watched the stars, they have wondered about this lantern. Ancient cultures told stories of gods who lit lamps to protect the sleeper, or spirits who carried souls into other realms. Even now, with microscopes and electrodes, the mystery of sleep is not solved. Science can measure waves, track cycles, and trace chemicals, but the essence of why we sleep is still glowing with questions. And yet we know this much: without sleep, the mind falters, the body weakens, and imagination dims. The lantern is not a luxury. It is as vital as breath, as necessary as food. To drift into its glow each night is to be restored. When the lantern first appears, the mind passes into light sleep, the earliest stage. It is like standing at the edge of twilight, where shadows are long but not yet deep. In this stage, muscles relax, heart rate slows, and breathing steadies. The lantern burns softly, its glow reaching only a little way. A sudden sound may still pull you back, a gentle nudge can wake you. But the process has begun, the brain already shifting into rhythms it cannot reach while awake. Even in this shallow rest, important changes stir. Hormones adjust, cells begin repair, and the brain readies itself for deeper descent. As the lantern leads you further, the next stage arrives: slow wave sleep, the deep and restorative rest. Here the light grows brighter inside, though the outside world is fully dark. The brain's electrical rhythms slow to steady waves like the rolling of a calm sea. Growth hormone is released, tissues heal, the immune system strengthens. This is the time when the body mends itself most deeply. For children, it is when growth surges. For adults, it is when weariness is soothed. Though the sleeper knows nothing of it, the lantern of sleep is working steadily, mending flesh and spirit alike. And then, like a flicker, the light changes. The lantern leads into a paradox, REM sleep, where the brain stirs as though awake. This is the stage where dreams bloom most vividly. The lantern now becomes radiant, casting images, stories, and emotions onto the hidden walls of the mind. Eyes dart beneath closed lids, breathing quickens, and the brain burns with patterns of activity. Yet the body lies still, paralyzed for safety, so that the dream's motions are not enacted. It is as if the lantern has opened a secret theater, where the imagination performs while the body remains a quiet audience. Here, the spark of creativity shines most brightly. Scientists studying sleep describe it as a cycle, repeating through the night. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM, then back again, each lasting minutes to hours, weaving together like the gears of a clock. The lantern guides this cycle faithfully, never rushing, never halting, repeating until dawn. Over the course of a night, these cycles shift. Early on, deep sleep dominates, repairing the body. Later, REM lengthens, nourishing the mind. The balance is delicate, and when it is broken, by stress, illness, or wakefulness, the whole self suffers. To lose the lantern's glow is to wander in darkness, and no part of life escapes its effects. Think of the lantern as a keeper of memory. During sleep, the brain replays, sorts, and stores the day's experiences. Studies show that people who sleep after learning retain more than those who do not. The lantern illuminates the fragile pathways of memory, helping them grow stronger. Without it, recollections crumble like sand. Yet sleep is not only about remembering, it is also about forgetting. The brain sifts through the day's clutter, discarding what is unnecessary. In this way, the lantern cleans as well as builds, leaving the mind lighter, clearer, ready for new experience. But perhaps the most wondrous role of the lantern is in imagination. In sleep, the brain is free to experiment, to combine fragments in new ways. A melody heard by day may weave into a dream, blending with a face from childhood. An unsolved problem may surface in a vision, as if the answer was waiting in the shadows. Artists, scientists, poets, all have drawn from the lantern's glow. It does not force inspiration, but it makes space for it, softening the rigid grip of reason, letting ideas drift and mingle like sparks. To sleep is to give imagination room to breathe. There is a tenderness to this nightly ritual. The lantern of sleep does not blaze with harsh fire, it glows with gentleness. Its work is patient, unhurried. It does not scold for the day's mistakes, nor does it boast of its importance. It simply does what it must quietly every night. You may resist it, staying awake with glowing screens or restless thoughts, but eventually the lantern waits, and when you allow it, it takes your hand and leads you in. In its light, you find restoration that no waking effort can provide. And in this soft glow lies another secret: sleep is shared. Though each person dreams their own dreams, the lantern burns for all. Every creature on earth, in one form or another, rests. Birds tuck their heads beneath wings, lions stretch in savannas, dolphins drift with half their brains awake. Even trees, in their way, show rhythms of rest and activity. Sleep is not only human, it is woven into the very fabric of life. The lantern burns across species, across time, guiding the endless cycle of rest and renewal. To sleep is to join the great rhythm of the living world, to align with a force older than humanity itself. As the lantern shines, it also reminds us of fragility. To go without sleep is to dim the glow. Minds grow cloudy, tempers fray, bodies ache. Prolonged deprivation can unravel health, weaken immunity, and blur reality. The lantern is not optional, and to neglect it is to deny a part of our own nature. Modern life often tempts us to chase the hours of the night, to fill them with tasks and lights. But the lantern waits patiently, reminding us that even in a world of constant motion, there must be pause. Without pause, there is no balance. So when you close your eyes tonight, imagine this lantern. See its glow not as something outside you, but within you, carried in your brain and body. It boo. RNS each night, whether or not you remember it, whether or not you honor it. It repairs, it restores, it inspires. It guards you through the darkness, not with fire, but with gentle light. And when you wake, you carry its quiet gift, the clarity of thought, the steadiness of emotion, the spark of creativity. This is the lantern of sleep, the hidden light that lives in you, keeping you whole in ways you may never fully see. The lantern of sleep does more than guide the body into rest. It deepens the currents of life itself. To follow its light further is to see how sleep touches every corner of existence, from the smallest cells to the vast reaches of memory and imagination. What begins as the closing of the eyes becomes an unfolding journey, with rhythms so intricate that science is still unraveling their meaning. In this deeper glow, the lantern reveals not only how sleep sustains us, but how it shapes the essence of being human. Within the silence of night, the brain engages in one of its most extraordinary labors, the cleansing of itself. For centuries, scientists wondered how such a delicate organ, so dense with activity, could maintain its health. Only in recent years did researchers discover the glymphatic system, a hidden network that becomes active during sleep. In these hours, cerebrospinal fluid flows more freely, washing between neurons, carrying away waste proteins and toxins. Among them are the very substances linked to neurodegenerative diseases. By day, the brain gathers the byproducts of constant thought. By night, the lantern of sleep turns on this cleansing tide, leaving the mind refreshed. Without it, toxins build and the lantern's glow falters. This nightly cleansing is as essential as dreaming itself, proof that sleep is not idleness but healing work. While the lantern clears, it also builds. Proteins are synthesized, tissues repaired, immune cells strengthened. In the gentle hours, the body quietly recovers from its daily wear. The immune system, too, is nourished, learning to recognize invaders more effectively after sleep. Studies show that people who rest deeply respond better to vaccines, heal faster from wounds, and resist illness more readily. It is as if the lantern of sleep not only mends but also fortifies, shining light into every hidden system, reminding the body of its resilience. To sleep poorly is to weaken the fortress. To sleep well is to reinforce it with quiet strength. Memory, too, glows more brightly under the lantern. Each night, the hippocampus whispers its stories to the cortex, replaying events like songs until they are woven into the fabric of long-term memory. But this process is not mechanical, it is selective. The brain does not keep everything. Instead, it chooses what matters most, what is tied to emotion, what is repeated, what is useful for survival. Dreams may be the visible surface of this sorting, the mind's rehearsal of what to carry and what to let go. Without this process, life would feel scattered, fragile, unanchored. The lantern of sleep steadies memory, giving it weight and continuity, allowing the self to remain whole from day to day. But memory is only half of the story. The lantern also fuels creativity. In REM sleep, where imagination runs untethered, ideas mingle in ways they never could in daylight. A melody fuses with a face, a problem with a shape, an old memory with a new spark. In this way, the brain invents. Great discoveries and works of art have their seeds in such moments. The lantern does not discriminate between the ordinary and the extraordinary. It illuminates them all, offering the dreamer glimpses of possibility. To dream is to test the edges of imagination, to see what the mind might build when freed from reason's strict walls. Consider also the emotional weight of this nightly glow. By day, the heart is stirred by countless feelings: joy, fear, love, grief. Some are too heavy to carry fully awake. In sleep, the lantern softens them. Dreams replay emotion, sometimes magnified, sometimes transformed. Researchers suggest this is a kind of emotional therapy where the brain revisits without the harsh chemicals of stress. A frightening memory becomes a symbolic chase, a joyful event becomes a feast, a sorrowful moment dissolves into metaphor. In this way, sleep helps the heart to heal, to integrate, to endure. The lantern of sleep, quiet and patient, becomes a counselor no waking mind could replace. Yet the glow is fragile. In modern life, it is often dimmed by artificial light, restless schedules, and constant stimulation. Screens trick the brain into thinking it is still day, delaying the release of melatonin, the hormone that calls the lantern forth. Stress crowds the mind, keeping it restless even when the body longs to rest. Caffeine, noise, disruption, all of these interfere with the lantern's work. And so the modern sleeper often finds the light unsteady, the cycles shortened, the dreams scattered. The science warns us this neglect has consequences: higher risks of illness, weaker memory, dulled creativity, unstable mood. To honor the lantern is to honor our nature. To neglect it is to wander in shadow. Animals remind us of the universality of this glow. From the tiniest insect to the largest whale, creatures show rhythms of rest. Migrating birds sleep in mid-flight, shutting down half their brains at a time. Dolphins and seals do the same, surfacing for air even as they slumber. Bears curl in dens for months, carried by the lantern's glow through hibernation. Even plants show patterns of activity and rest, their leaves shifting with hidden clocks. Sleep is not merely human, it is woven into the deep fabric of biology. The lantern burns across species, across time, as old as life itself. Dreams, too, unite us in this shared rhythm. Though the details differ, the themes echo across cultures and centuries. Flying, falling, being chased, these are dreams that have visited countless generations. They are not random, they are expressions of the shared architecture of the brain. The lantern of sleep projects these timeless images onto the walls of the mind, reminding us that we are connected, that our private nights echo with the same ancient patterns. To sleep is to join this universal chorus, a nightly participation in the song of life. The lantern also carries us into the mysteries of time. Within sleep lies the circadian rhythm, a 24-hour cycle tuned by light and darkness. This inner clock governs when we feel alert, when we feel tired, when hormones rise and fall. It is a rhythm older than civilization, set by the turning of the earth and the rising of the sun. To honor sleep is to align with this ancient cycle, to live in harmony with the planet itself. When the rhythm is broken through night shifts, jet lag, or sleepless nights, the body feels its imbalance deeply. The lantern falters when pulled from its natural time. To restore it is to restore balance not only within the self but with the world beyond. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the lantern of sleep is humility. For all our progress, we cannot replace it. No drug, no technology, no shortcut can offer what true rest provides. We are creatures bound to the cycle of day and night, dependent on the lantern's glow. To sleep is to surrender, to admit that we are not machines but living beings with limits. And in that surrender lies grace. The lantern does not ask for struggle. It simply asks for trust, for the closing of the eyes, the letting go of control, the drifting into its light. In return, it offers restoration deeper than we can imagine. So the lantern continues to glow, unseen but essential, each night when darkness falls. It burns not with fire but with biology, not with fuel but with rhythm. It is a light that belongs to every creature, every human, every moment of life. To dream, to heal, to remember, to create, all of it flows from this quiet source. And when we wake, we carry its gifts, even if we forget the journey. The lantern of sleep is always there, waiting, patient, glowing, a reminder that rest is not weakness but wisdom, not escape but return, not emptiness but fullness. In its glow, the self is renewed. The lantern of sleep burns most brightly as the night nears its end, not because it casts more light, but because its work is nearly done. By these final hours, the body has been restored, the mind has been cleansed, memories have been woven, and emotions softened. What remains is a quiet glow, a lingering warmth that carries the sleeper back toward the waking world. This is the gentle closing of sleep's circle, the moment when the lantern's light flickers softly before the eyes open once more. It is not a sudden ending, but a graceful transition, a fading of the inner glow as the outer world brightens with dawn. In these last cycles, the lantern gives its longest hours to dreams. REM sleep stretches further, sometimes lasting nearly an hour, and the imagination fills this space with its most elaborate creations. Entire stories unfold, complete with characters, landscapes, and emotions. Some may be joyful, others strange, others frightening, but all carry the same truth. The brain is still alive with creativity, even in its quietest hours. Scientists studying these final REM periods see activity in the visual cortex, the limbic system, and even the motor regions, as if the brain is rehearsing a play it cannot perform. And yet, for the dreamer, this theater is real enough. The lantern shines on the mind's inner stage until morning pulls the curtain closed. What purpose does this final dreaming serve? Many researchers believe it is rehearsal for waking life. The lantern of sleep gives the mind space to test possibilities, to run scenarios, to soften fears and rehearse hopes. A student may dream of an exam, an artist of an unfinished canvas, a traveler of distant places. Even if the dream is forgotten, the rehearsal leaves its imprint, expiry. Ments show that people who dream about challenges often perform better when facing them awake. The lantern's glow offers a secret practice ground, a safe space where the mind prepares for what is to come. It is not always clear, not always logical, but it is always meaningful. As morning nears, the brain begins to shift its chemistry. Melatonin, the hormone of night, declines, while cortisol, the hormone of waking, begins to rise. This subtle change signals that the lantern's glow will soon fade. The cycles of sleep grow lighter, and the sleeper hovers closer to awareness. This is why dreams are often remembered in the morning. They are closer to the surface, nearer to waking. The lantern does not extinguish suddenly. It dims slowly, allowing the mind to cross the threshold with softness. In this fading lies the wisdom of balance, the reminder that sleep and wakefulness are not opposites but partners, flowing into one another like tides. Yet the lantern leaves behind more than dreams. It leaves behind the quiet gifts of restoration. Muscles repaired, immune defenses strengthened, hormones balanced, memory refreshed, emotions soothed. These are the invisible labors of sleep, carried out without our knowledge, yet essential to our survival. To wake after a night of rest is to step into the day renewed, carrying the lantern's blessings even if we forget its light. Without them, we stumble. With them, we flourish. Sleep is not wasted time. It is the foundation of health, creativity, and balance. Throughout history, poets and thinkers have tried to capture this truth. They wrote of sleep as a gentle mother, a healer, a divine gift. Modern science confirms their intuitions, showing in data what was once only felt. And yet, for all our knowledge, the mystery remains. Why do dreams take the shapes they do? Why does the brain rehearse with such vivid strangeness? Why does the lantern choose some memories to strengthen and others to discard? The answers are incomplete, and perhaps they always will be. Sleep remains both science and poetry, both mechanism and miracle. The lantern's glow is measured in rhythms and chemicals, but it is also felt in wonder. Nightmares, too, find their place in this closing. Even as dawn approaches, some may wake with a start, heart racing from visions of fear. Though unpleasant, these dreams may serve a purpose, helping the brain process trauma or practice survival. They remind us that the lantern does not shine only on joy but also on shadow. Its work is not to shield us from fear, but to help us face it in ways we may not manage awake. Even nightmares are part of the healing, part of the strange alchemy of sleep. When the eyes open at last, the lantern fades. Its glow is not gone, only hidden until night returns. The sleeper may carry fragments of dreams, an image, a sound, a feeling, but most of the night's journey is lost to memory. This forgetting is not failure but design. The waking mind needs space, clarity, freedom from the endless flood of dream. What remains is enough: the benefits of sleep, the restoration of body and mind, the subtle shift in mood or inspiration. The lantern has done its work, even if its light is invisible in the day. To honor the lantern of sleep is to honor life itself. It is to recognize that rest is not weakness but wisdom, not absence but presence of a different kind. In a world that prizes constant motion, sleep reminds us that growth requires pause, that healing requires stillness, that creativity requires silence. The lantern glows each night, waiting patiently, never demanding, always offering. To close the eyes is to accept its gift, to allow the body and mind to be held in its light. And in the morning, when the sun rises, we step into the world renewed, carrying within us the quiet power of its glow. So the story of the lantern ends not with finality, but with return. Tonight it will glow again, as it has every night of your life, as it will for every night to come. Its cycles will repeat, its work will continue, its mysteries will deepen. You may not remember its light, but you will feel its touch in your health, your memory, your emotions, your imagination. Sleep is the lantern carried by the mind through darkness, and its glow is the very rhythm of life. To dream is to wander in its light. To rest is to be restored by its warmth, and to awaken is to know that, even unseen, the lantern of sleep has burned faithfully, keeping you whole in the silence of night. Every night when darkness settles and the body gives in to rest, there are architects at work within the brain. They do not wear robes or carry tools, but their labor is tireless. These architects are the neurons themselves, billions of tiny sparks whispering across the silence. In daylight, they are busy builders, guiding thoughts, movements, words, and sensations. But in the hours of night, their labor changes. They no longer construct the actions of waking life, but instead design. The dream world, it is their hidden architecture that paints landscapes of memory and imagination, their quiet scaffolding that raises the surreal palaces of night. The human brain is a vast city, more intricate than any designed by human hands. Within it are trillions of connections, bridges of synapses linking neuron to neuron. By day, these connections light up in patterns of learning, solving, reacting. By night, they rearrange themselves. Sleep is the time when synapses are pruned, reshaped, strengthened, or dissolved. This work is invisible to us, but it is the very foundation of memory and identity. Without the architects of night, the city of the mind would crumble under the weight of disorganized connections. Dreams may be the visible trace of this architecture, the imaginative sketches drawn as the builder's work. Scientists have long been fascinated by how neurons create the strange theater of dreams. Brain scans reveal that certain regions burn brightly while others rest. The limbic system, where emotions live, glows like fire. The visual cortex lights up as if the eyes were open. The motor regions stir, rehearsing movements that never happen. But the prefrontal cortex, the voice of reason, falls quiet. Without its restraint, the architects are free to design without logic. They build structures that twist, bend, and dissolve. A staircase may lead into the sky, a door may open into water, a stranger may speak with your own voice. The architects of night are playful, unbound by rules, and their creations are the landscapes we call dreams. To imagine this process is to picture a library being reordered. All day, books are borrowed, scattered, stacked in piles. By night, librarians come to restore order. But they do not simply put books back, they decide which belong together, which should be kept, which should be discarded. Neurons work much the same way. They replay the experiences of the day, testing connections, strengthening some, letting others fade. Dreams may be the flicker of this reordering, the mind's rehearsal of which patterns to keep. This is why so many dreams reflect recent experiences, mixed with older memories and emotions. The architects of night are not only builders but curators, shaping the story of who we are. There is a rhythm to their work, a cycle repeated through the night. Sleep moves from light to deep, then into REM, and the architects follow this pattern. In slow-wave sleep, synapses are pruned, unnecessary connections dissolved. In REM, others are strengthened, emotions rehearsed, creativity sparked. Together, these stages keep the brain balanced, neither too cluttered with noise nor too empty to learn. The architects of night are not chaotic, they follow ancient patterns set by evolution. Their goal is survival, adaptation, resilience. Dreams are their blueprints, sketches drawn in fire and shadow, reminders of the hidden work within. But why dreams? Why must the architects draw such strange pictures while they labor? Some researchers believe that dreams are byproducts, meaningless sparks of activity as neurons reshape themselves. Others argue that dreams have function, that they help the brain test scenarios, solve problems, and regulate emotion. Perhaps both are true. The architects may not intend their designs to be understood, but they still leave us with visions that inspire, disturb, or guide. Like footprints of workers on fresh stone, dreams are traces of the labor beneath. They are not the purpose, but they are the evidence. Imagine the hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped keeper of memory, working with the cortex, the great expanse of thought. By day, the hippocampus captures experiences, fragile and fleeting. By night, it replays them to the cortex, building them into lasting networks. This conversation between regions is like architects consulting on a design, one describing the details, the other weaving them into the larger structure. Dreams may be the echoes of this dialogue, the drafts of memory being tested. A fragment from the day, a face, a sound, a word, may appear in the dream, combined with older fragments to form a surreal design. This is not confusion but construction, the architect sketching the blueprint of memory. The architects of night also work with emotion. The amygdala, that small almond-shaped cluster deep in the brain, remains active in REM. It colors dreams with fear, joy, longing, grief. This is why dreams are often so emotional, even when they make little sense. The architects weave feeling into structure, ensuring that memories are not stored as dry facts but as living experiences. The warmth of love, the sting of fear, the ache of loss, these are built into the architecture of memory, making it more vivid, more lasting. Dreams may be the drafts of this emotional construction, rehearsals for the theater of life. In their play, the architects sometimes stumble into creativity. Freed from reason, they combine fragments in ways the aching mind never would. Artists and scientists alike have spoken of insights arriving in dreams, new melodies, new designs, even solutions to problems. These moments are gifts of the architects, sparks from their hidden workshop. They remind us that imagination is not confined to daylight. It flourishes in the night, nurtured by the architects who build without rules. Dreams are their sketches, and sometimes those sketches hold genius. And yet, for all their labor, most of what the architects create vanishes. Dreams dissolve on waking, forgotten within minutes. This may be by design. The architects are not building for us to see, but for the brain itself to use. The dream is not the building, but the scaffolding taken down once the structure is complete. What remains is the strengthened connection, the refined memory, the balanced emotion. The dream was only the trace, the visible flicker of hidden work. And so we wake with little memory of the night, but with minds reshaped, ready for the day. The architects of night leave no monuments, only invisible foundations on which the self stands. In this way, dreams remind us of humility. We are not masters of the brain's inner world, we are passengers. The architects work without our command, building and dismantling as they must. We glimpse their labor only in fleeting dreams, and even those are beyond our control. To dream is to surrender, to let the architects do their work. And in that surrender lies trust that the brain knows how to heal, how to balance, how to create. The architects of night are tireless, faithful, and though we rarely thank them, their work sustains us. So when you close your eyes, imagine these hidden builders at work. Picture them as sparks of light, weaving connections, pruning branches, painting landscapes of memory. Their designs may be strange, but they are purposeful. Their creations may vanish, but their effects remain. The architects of night are with you always, working in silence, shaping who you are. And each morning when you wake, you stand on the foundations they have built, unaware of the labor but living its results. This is their gift, a self renewed, a mind balanced, an imagination nourished. Every dream is a sketch, every night a workshop, every waking day a monument to their hidden craft. The architects of night do not work alone. They are guided by rhythms older than civilization itself. Every living being carries within its cells a clock, a cycle that beats in harmony with the turning of the earth. This circadian rhythm, tied to light and darkness, dictates when the architects begin their work and when they rest. It is not merely habit, but a profound alignment with nature. In the glow of morning, neurons fire to wake the mind. In the dimming of dusk, the architects prepare their designs. Sleep is their workshop, and time itself is their foreman. Without the guidance of these rhythms, the architects lose their order, and the mind suffers imbalance. Within this cycle, the architects follow patterns as old as life. They begin with light sleep, where the first sketches are drawn, fragile and fleeting. Then they descend into slow-wave sleep, where deeper structures are built, pruning and reinforcing synapses with deliberate care. Finally, they rise into REM, their playground of creativity, where the walls of reason fall and new designs emerge. These stages repeat, not randomly, but with intention, each cycle refining the work of the last. By the end of the night, the architecture of memory and emotion has been rebuilt, polished, strengthened. This is the blueprint of the brain's survival, the hidden labor of every night. Neuroscientists studying this process often speak of synaptic homeostasis, the balance of connections within the brain. By day, experiences flood the neurons with activity, creating new connections and strengthening old ones. By night, the architects evaluate these networks, trimming excess, solidifying the useful, discarding the unnecessary. Without this balance, the brain would drown in noise, overwhelmed by too many connections. Sleep is not idleness but regulation, a pruning of the overgrown garden of memory. Dreams may be the blossoms of this pruning, the fleeting flowers that appear as the gardener's work. They are not the goal, but they are the signs of life within the process. The architect's work is not purely mechanical. They are also sculptors of identity, shaping the self through the integration of memory and emotion. Consider how the hippocampus and amygdala cooperate in dreams. The hippocampus brings forth fragments of experience, while the amygdala colors them with feeling. Together, they create vivid dreamscapes that carry both detail and intensity. These are not random illusions, but rehearsals of who we are. To dream is to revisit the day, but also to integrate it with the past, weaving emotion into memory so that it becomes part of the self. The architects of night are buoy, elders of continuity, ensuring that we remain the same person from one day to the next, even as we change. Yet the architects are also innovators. In their nocturnal play, they combine fragments in novel ways, creating designs that the waking mind would never imagine. A melody may blend with a memory, an image with an idea, a fear with a hope. Out of these combinations come sparks of creativity, insights that surprise even the dreamer. History is full of such moments. Artists who saw visions in dreams, scientists who solved problems in their sleep, inventors who awoke with designs in mind. These flashes are not accidents, but the gifts of the architects, their creative drafts offered freely. In dreams, the architects are not bound by rules. They are free to imagine, and their imagination nourishes ours. The emotional weight of dreams is another signature of their craft. Dreams often stir feelings more strongly than waking events, leaving the dreamer shaken, joyful, or sorrowful long after waking. This is because the architects keep the amygdala bright while the prefrontal cortex rests. Without logic to restrain them, emotions flow freely, magnified by the surreal imagery of dreams. Some researchers believe this is the brain's way of processing emotion, revisiting feelings in a safe environment. A fear replayed in a dream may lose its sting. A joy relived may grow deeper. The architects of night, in this view, are therapists as well as builders, helping the mind heal through its own creations. But the architects' work can also be unsettling. Nightmares are the storms of their design, visions so intense that they wake the dreamer with fear. Why do the architects create such frightening images? Some believe nightmares are rehearsals for survival, simulations that prepare us for danger. Others see them as signals, reflections of stress or trauma that the brain is still processing. Whatever their purpose, nightmares are part of the architecture of emotion. They remind us that the architects do not only build comfort but also resilience, teaching the mind to endure. Even in fear, there is function. Even in darkness, a kind of light. When neuroscientists peer into the brain during these cycles, they see a city alive with hidden labor. Electrodes record the bursts of activity, scans reveal the glowing regions, and yet the dream itself remains private, known only to the dreamer. This is the paradox of the architect's work. It is both universal and intimate. All human brains follow the same patterns, yet each dream is unique, shaped by personal memory and feeling. The architects work with the same tools, but their designs differ endlessly, as varied as the people who dream them. In this, we see the balance of nature and individuality, the shared architecture of the brain expressed in infinite forms. The universality of dreaming connects us across cultures and ages. Myths and stories from every civilization describe dreams as messages, visions, journeys of the soul. Though modern science explains them as the work of neurons, the wonder remains. To know that every human who has ever lived has carried these architects within them is to feel a deep continuity. We are linked not only by language or culture, but by the nightly labor of the brain. The architects of night are ancient companions, guiding us through the same cycles as our ancestors, building the same structures of memory and imagination. Their work is both scientific and sacred, biological and poetic. And yet, for all their importance, the architects are vulnerable. Their work depends on the stability of sleep, on rhythms that can be easily disturbed. Modern life often disrupts these patterns, with artificial light delaying melatonin, with stress shortening cycles, with irregular schedules breaking rhythm. When the architects are deprived of time, their work suffers. Memory weakens, emotion frays, creativity dims. Sleep deprivation is not just fatigue, it is the silencing of the architects, the neglect of their labor. To honor them is to honor ourselves, to give them the time and space they need to build. Without them, the foundations of the mind begin to crumble. This is why sleep is sacred, not only because it restores the body, but because it allows the architects of night to work. Their designs are invisible, but their effects are everywhere in the strength of memory, the balance of emotion, the spark of imagination. To sleep is to trust them, to surrender control and let them shape us. And though we rarely remember their work, we live by it. Every morning we wake in a self they have rebuilt, standing on the unseen foundations of their craft. The architects of night are silent, tireless, and essential. They are the builders of the dream world, and through their hidden labor, they sustain the architecture of being. The architects of night always finish their work in silence. They do not announce what they have built, nor do they leave monuments to Adam. Instead, they leave us with something subtler, a mind renewed, a memory strengthened, an emotion softened, a spark of imagination set alight. Their work is hidden from our awareness, and yet it is carried into every waking hour. The final cycles of sleep are their closing touches, the careful polishing of structures raised in darkness. Dreams may still come vivid and strange, but beneath them the architects are sealing connections, finalizing designs, ensuring that the foundation of the self is strong. In these last hours, REM sleep lingers, and with it the brightest bursts of imagination. The architects sketch elaborate scenes, weaving fragments into stories with beginnings, middles, and ends. These are the dreams that linger most clearly into the morning, the ones remembered in fragments of images or emotions. Perhaps it is no accident that the longest, richest dreams occur just before waking. They are the architect's final drafts, the last blueprints shown before the workshop closes. Though most details are forgotten, the traces remain in the subtle shifts of thought and feeling that follow us into the day. Scientists who study these final stages see them as a rehearsal for waking life. The architects test the mind's readiness, preparing it for the challenges ahead. They replay emotions, simulate encounters, solve problems in abstract ways. To dream of an exam before taking it, to dream of a journey before beginning it, to dream of fears before facing them. These are the architect's ways of ensuring preparedness. Even when the dream feels chaotic, its function may be purposeful. The architects are not only builders of memory, but also guardians of the future, rehearsing possibilities so that the waking mind is better equipped. As dawn approaches, the lantern of sleep begins to dim and the architects slow their labor. The chemistry of the brain shifts again, melatonin fading, cortisol rising, neurons preparing for waking life. The cycles of sleep grow lighter and the dreamer begins to hover near consciousness. It is in this liminal state that the architect's creations are most visible, when dreams slip into awareness, fragile and fleeting. A sound in the room, a ray of light, may fold into the dream, blending reality and imagination. Then, with a final spark, the architects release their hold, and the dream dissolves into waking. What remains is not the dream itself, but its effects. The memory is stronger, the mind clearer, the emotions steadier. The architects have completed their work even if the dream is forgotten. To wake is to stand upon the foundations they built, unaware of the scaffolding, conscious only of the stability beneath. This is the true gift of the architects of night, not the dream, but the structure it leaves behind. The dream is only the sketch, erased once the design is complete. The architecture itself endures. And yet the dreams themselves matter too. They may not be kept in memory, but in their moment they are real enough to move us. A dream may leave a trace of wonder, a feeling of fear, a spark of inspiration. Artists and thinkers have long drawn from these traces, translating them into works that endure. A melody heard in sleep, a vision seen in darkness, a story whispered by the architects. These have become symphonies, inventions, paintings, discoveries. The architects may not intend their creations for us, but we have learned to listen to them, to take inspiration from the sketches they leave behind. Nightmares, too, are part of this closing. Even in the final cycles, storms may rise, visions of fear or sorrow jolting the sleeper awake. Though unsettling, they are part of the architect's work, reminders that the mind must also confront what troubles it. Some researchers see nightmares as emotional processing, others as survival rehearsal, others as signs of stress. Whatever their cause, they are not meaningless. They are part of the architecture of resilience, part of the brain's effort to balance itself. The architects do not shy away from shadow, they build with it as well as with light. When the eyes open at last, the architects disappear from awareness, their work done for the night. But they will return again with the coming of darkness, as faithful as the stars. Every night they labor, whether we remember their creations or not. Their designs are endless, their work eternal for as long as we live. To sleep is to trust them, to surrender control and let them build. And though we rarely think of them, we live by their architecture every day. Without them, memory would crumble, emotion would fray, imagination would wither. With them, the self endures, renewed each night in silence. To reflect on the architects of night is to recognize the hidden wisdom of the body. We are not separate from our biology. We are shaped by it, sustained by it, dependent on it. The architects remind us that we are more than our waking thoughts. Beneath consciousness lies a vow. Sent workshop, a hidden labor that sustains us without our command. To dream is to glimpse this workshop, to see the sketches of the architects at play. But the true work is deeper, invisible, carried out in silence. It is the foundation of memory, the balance of emotion, the spark of creativity. It is the architecture of being itself. And so the story of the architects ends in the same way it began, in wonder. Who are these builders, these neurons that labor without rest? They are ourselves, the very matter of the brain, the sparks of life that define us. Their work is both mechanical and miraculous, both scientific and poetic. They are the unseen artists of the night, raising structures we cannot see but that we inhabit every day. Their architecture is memory, identity, imagination, resilience. Their workshop is sleep, their sketches are dreams, their monuments are the selves we carry into the light of day. To honor sleep is to honor them, to rest is to let them build, and to wake is to live in the architecture they have made. There is a stage of sleep so delicate, so mysterious, that it seems to carry the breath of dreams themselves. Scientists call it REM, short for rapid eye movement, but to the dreamer it is something softer, more elusive, a whisper in the night. Behind closed eyelids, the eyes flicker quickly as if following visions that only the sleeper can see. The body lies still, muscles lulled into temporary paralysis, yet the mind burns with activity, alive with hidden fires. It is here in this paradoxical state that dreams take their fullest shape. The whisper of REM is not loud, not forceful, but it carries a power that touches memory, emotion, and imagination all at once. The discovery of REM sleep was one of the great turning points in science's understanding of the night. In 1953, researchers Nathaniel Kleitman and Eugene Asorinsky, watching a sleeping child, noticed the fluttering of eyes beneath closed lids. Curious, they attached electrodes to the child's head, tracing brain waves. What they saw startled them, patterns that looked almost like waking activity, even though the child was deep in slumber. The eyes darted, the brain flared, yet the child did not stir. They had stumbled upon a hidden stage of sleep, one that would come to redefine how we think about dreams. From that moment on, the whisper of REM was no longer invisible. It became a subject of study, a window into the secret life of the brain. REM sleep is often called paradoxical sleep because of its strange nature. The brain is as active as when awake, but the body is held in stillness. This paralysis, caused by signals from the brainstem, protects the sleeper from acting out their dreams. Without it, every motion imagined might be enacted, every chase or flight performed in dangerous reality. Instead, the body rests safe and motionless while the mind wanders freely. The whisper of REM is both fire and silence, both motion and stillness. It is a paradox that defines the richness of dreaming. The rhythms of REM follow a cycle, returning again and again throughout the night. The first episodes are brief, arriving after 90 minutes of sleep, lasting only minutes. But as the night deepens, the episodes lengthen, stretching to half an hour or more. By dawn, nearly a quarter of the night has been spent in REM. This means that every human alive spends years of their life within its whisper, lost in dreams. For all its invisibility, REM is one of the most essential rhythms of life, as important as heartbeat and breath. To lose it is to unravel, to honor it is to thrive. What happens in this hidden stage is nothing short of extraordinary. Brain scans show that the visual cortex glows, painting images on the mind's inner canvas. The amygdala flares, stirring emotion into every scene. The hippocampus replays memories, offering fragments for the dream's design. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and control, grows quiet. Without its stern hand, the dream is free to wander. The impossible becomes ordinary, the surreal becomes real. You may walk through a city of glass, speak with the dead, or fly over oceans. The whisper of REM allows imagination to flow without borders, creating a world where logic no longer binds. But this freedom is not without purpose. Researchers believe that REM serves as rehearsal, practice, exploration. Emotions too sharp for daylight are softened in dreams. Memories too fragile for permanence are strengthened. Problems unsolved are reshaped, sometimes resolved in the free play of imagination. To the dreamer, it may feel chaotic. To the brain, it is work. The whisper of REM carries messages across neurons, stitching together fragments into coherent patterns. It is a workshop disguised as a theater, a rehearsal disguised as fantasy. The dream is not nonsense, it is the language of the brain's deeper work. The emotional weight of REM dreams is one of their most striking features. People wake from them shaken, exhilarated, or filled with awe. This intensity is no accident. In REM, the circuits of feeling are amplified while those of reason are muted. Dreams become raw expressions of the heart, unfiltered by logic. Some scientists believe this helps regulate mood, giving the brain a way to process emotion without being overwhelmed. Others see it as practice, a way to confront fear in a safe space. Whatever the reason, REM ensures that the night is not only rest but renewal. It whispers through the mind, carrying away heaviness, leaving balance in its place. Across cultures, REM has inspired wonder long before it was named. Ancient poets spoke of visions seen in sleep, of journeys through shadowed realms, of gods whispering in the dark. Though science explains these as brain activity, the mystery remains. To know that every night, without fail, your brain enters a state of vivid imagination is to marvel at the hidden artistry of the self. The whisper of REM is universal. It carries the same rhythm in every human brain, the same silent promise of dreams. It is a reminder that beneath our differences, we share the same nightly theater, the same quiet work of the mind. Even animals drift into REM. Dogs twitch and whimper, their paws moving as if they run through imagined fields. Cats flick their tails, chasing prey that exists only in the mind. Birds show tiny bursts of REM between flights, their eyes moving beneath lids. Even reptiles and fish display signs of dreamlike states. This universality suggests that REM is not luxury but necessity, a rhythm woven deep into the fabric of life. The whisper of REM is not only human, it is a language spoken by the living world itself. And yet REM remains fragile. Its cycles can be disrupted by stress, irregular schedules, or illness. When it is deprived, the mind falters. Memory weakens, emotions fray, creativity dims. Those who lose REM sleep for days begin to dream while awake, slipping into hallucinations. The whisper must be heard, or the mind begins to unravel. This fragility is a reminder of the importance of balance, of honoring the natural rhythms of sleep. To ignore REM is to silence one of the brain's most vital processes. To nurture it is to allow the whisper to continue its ancient song. In the stillness of night, as the body lies motionless, the whisper of REM drifts through the mind like a hidden tide. It carries dreams, emotions, fragments of memory, sparks of imagination. It reshapes the self quietly, without fanfare, without applause. When morning comes, it vanishes like mist, leaving only traces. And yet its work endures, woven into the fabric of who we are. The whisper of REM is both delicate and essential, both fleeting and eternal. To dream is to hear it, to be carried by it, to be reshaped in its silence. It is the quiet breath of the brain at rest, the secret rhythm of the night. The whisper of REM is not only a rhythm of the night, but a profound force shaping who we are. To drift deeper into this stage of sleep is to wander into a territory where memory, imagination, and emotion blend into a single current. Every night, without fail, the brain carries us here, whether or not we remember the journey. And each time it performs a quiet labor, repairing, strengthening, and reshaping. To follow the whisper is to realize that dreams are not idle fantasies, but essential workings of the mind, written in the language of images and feelings. One of the most remarkable roles of REM is its relationship to memory. Throughout the day, the brain gathers countless fragments, faces, voices, impressions, lessons. These pieces are fragile, easily lost unless they are replayed and reinforced. During REM, the hippocampus speaks to the cortex, replaying the songs of experience. It is as if a choir of neurons rises in the night, singing the patterns of the day until they are woven into lasting networks. This does not happen with perfect clarity. Memories are not stored as exact replicas, but as reconstructed impressions, blended with older fragments. This blending explains why dreams often feel so familiar yet so strange, like stories told by a voice we half recognize. The whisper of REM is a rehearsal, a nightly retelling that ensures what matters endures. But REM does more than preserve memory, it transforms it. Dreams often combine fragments of recent events with much older recollections, mixing times, places, and emotions. This strange alchemy allows the brain to make connections it might never make awake. A lesson learned may be tied to a forgotten memory, an image may spark an idea, an emotion may shift in meaning. In this way, REM is not simply about keeping the past, but about reshaping it for the future. The whisper carries fragments into new patterns, and sometimes those patterns hold insight. A problem unsolved by day may find resolution by night, not through logic, but through the fluid creativity of dreams. Emotion is another domain, and where REM works its quiet power. By day, emotions can overwhelm, flooding the body with stress hormones that sharpen survival but blur reflection. In REM, those chemicals subside while the circuits of emotion remain active. This creates a safe space where feelings can be revisited without the sting of stress. Fear can be replayed until it softens, grief can be held until it loosens, joy can be savored until it deepens. Some scientists call this overnight therapy, a natural process by which the brain heals itself. To dream is to feel, but to feel in safety, where emotion can be explored without breaking the heart. The whisper of REM is a balm, soothing the raw edges of experience. The universality of REM speaks to its importance. Every mammal studied shows signs of this stage. Kittens twitch as if practicing their future leaps, puppies whimper as if chasing imagined prey. Even birds display moments of REM, their eyes moving beneath closed lids. This suggests that dreaming is not an accident but an ancient necessity rooted deep in evolution. If REM were not vital, it would not persist across so many species. Its whisper carries through the animal kingdom, a shared rhythm of life. To see it is to realize that dreams are not indulgence but inheritance, passed down through the ages as a tool for survival. Consider the resilience of REM. When it is deprived, the brain pushes back fiercely. Experiments show that those who lose REM one night experience REM rebound the next, with longer, more intense episodes. This insistence reveals its necessity. The whisper must be heard or the brain demands it louder. Without REM, people grow irritable, unfocused, emotionally unstable. Prolonged deprivation leads to hallucinations, as if the mind begins to dream while awake. The whisper cannot be silenced for long. It is as essential as hunger, as thirst, as breath. To neglect it is to unravel, to honor it is to remain whole. And yet REM is fragile. Its cycles are easily disrupted by stress, irregular schedules, or artificial light. Modern life, with its glowing screens and late hours, often dims the whisper. Melatonin is delayed, rhythms are broken, and the night's balance is lost. The result is scattered sleep, shortened REM, and weakened renewal. Science warns that chronic disruption may increase risks of illness, dull memory, and even shorten life. The whisper is gentle, but it must be protected. To care for sleep is to care for REM, to allow its rhythms to unfold as nature intended. Darkness, stillness, and regularity are its allies. Without them, the whisper fades. The creativity of REM is one of its most beautiful gifts. Freed from logic, the mind experiments boldly. Fragments of thought combine into visions, metaphors, and stories. History is filled with examples of inspiration arriving in dreams. Musicians hearing melodies, scientists glimpsing solutions, writers awakening with vivid scenes. These are not fantasies, but the products of REM's unique chemistry. With the prefrontal cortex quiet, inhibition falls away, and imagination flows freely. The whisper of REM is not only a healer but a muse, offering sparks of creativity that enrich art, science, and life itself. But REM is not only about the self, it is also about connection. Dreams often place us in social situations, filled with faces both familiar and strange. Some researchers suggest that REM helps us rehearse relationships, practicing empathy, trust, and even conflict. The whisper carries us through imagined encounters, preparing us for the complexities of waking life. In this sense, REM is a bridge between inner and outer worlds, a rehearsal not only of survival but of connection. To dream is to practice being human, to prepare for the bonds that shape us. In its whisper, REM also reminds us of mystery. For all our studies, we do not fully understand why dreams take the forms they do. Why do some fears return again and again? Why do certain memories resurface while others vanish? Why does imagination choose such strange symbols? Science can trace the circuits, but the meaning remains elusive. Perhaps it is not meant to be fully explained. Perhaps the whisper is not a message to decode, but a rhythm to experience, a song to be heard without translation. To dream is to accept mystery, to embrace the unknown as part of life. As the night deepens, REM becomes richer, its episodes longer and more vivid. The whisper grows stronger, filling the mind with visions until the approach of dawn. And when the eyes finally open, the whisper fades, leaving only traces. Some dreams are remembered, others lost, but all leave their mark. The self carried into the day is shaped by them, whether or not we know it. The whisper has done its work, quiet and unseen, shaping memory, soothing emotion, sparking creativity. It is the hidden current of the night, the breath of dreams, the voice of the sleeping brain. The whisper of REM carries through the final hours of TH. Night like the soft breath of a tide retreating from the shore. Its rhythms are slower now, its currents deeper, but its purpose remains the same: to restore, to reshape, to prepare. These last cycles of sleep are the richest in REM, the moments when dreams stretch longest, weaving entire narratives that may feel as real as waking life. It is here, just before dawn, that the whisper speaks most clearly, though still in a language of images, emotions, and sensations rather than words. To listen is to be carried into a world that exists only within, a fragile theater built each night and dissolved each morning. In these final stretches, the mind is both most vulnerable and most creative. The body lies still, muscles safely paralyzed by the brainstem, but the imagination surges. The visual cortex paints vast landscapes, the amygdala fills them with feeling, the hippocampus offers fragments of memory, and the prefrontal cortex stays quiet. Without reason's anchor, the dream drifts freely, inventing connections that daylight would dismiss. A mountain may float above the sea, a stranger may carry a familiar voice, a story may twist and turn with no concern for logic, yet in its strangeness lies purpose. The whisper of REM allows the mind to wander, to explore, to rehearse without restraint. Researchers often speak of the emotional importance of this stage. The night's final REM cycles seem especially tied to mood regulation, helping the brain prepare for the emotional demands of the coming day. A fear rehearsed in dreams may feel lighter by morning, a sorrow revisited may be softened, a joy relived may grow stronger. The whisper of REM in this way acts as a quiet therapist, guiding the heart through its tangled feelings. To wake after good sleep is often to feel steadier, calmer, more balanced. This is no coincidence, it is the whisper's gift, woven invisibly through the night. But the whisper does not only tend the heart, it also sharpens the mind. Studies show that REM enhances problem-solving, creativity, and learning. A puzzle unsolved by day may find new pathways in dreams. A musician may hear melodies rearranged, a mathematician may glimpse a solution, a writer may awaken with a scene imagined. These insights are not magic, they are the product of the brain's freedom in REM. Without logic's strict boundaries, fragments combine in novel ways, revealing connections that waking thought might miss. The whisper of REM is a muse as much as a healer, offering inspiration in silence. The universality of this whisper connects us across species and time. From humans to animals, from ancient ancestors to present day, REM has always been part of life. Dogs twitch in their sleep, running across dream fields. Birds shift beneath wings, eyes flickering with visions. Even infants spend half their sleep in REM, as if their growing brains need its guidance most of all. This rhythm is not new, not fragile, but ancient and enduring. It is written into the biology of survival, carried through evolution as a gift of life. To dream in REM is to join a chorus sung across countless generations, each night echoing with the same quiet song. And yet REM is also deeply personal. No two dreams are the same, no two whispers alike. Each mind builds its own theater, shaped by its own memories, emotions, and desires. In this sense, REM is both universal and individual, both shared and unique. It is a reminder that we are bound by common rhythms but still carry private worlds within. The whisper speaks to everyone, but it speaks differently to each. To dream is to be part of humanity, and also to be singular, alone with the images of the self. When dawn approaches, the whisper begins to fade. The cycles shorten, the chemistry shifts, and the brain prepares for waking. Cortisol rises, melatonin falls, and the sleeper drifts closer to consciousness. The last dreams are often the ones remembered, fragile as smoke but vivid in feeling. They are the whisper's parting words, the final notes of the night's symphony. Some linger, inspiring or unsettling. Others vanish in an instant, leaving only a trace of mood. But whether remembered or forgotten, they have done their work. The whisper does not need to be recalled to be effective. It shapes us regardless, unseen but enduring. What remains in waking life is the quiet impact of REM. Memory sharpened, emotions balanced, creativity sparked. These gifts may not be obvious, but they are real. The day feels clearer, the heart lighter, the mind more open. This is the whisper's legacy, carried invisibly into every hour of life. To neglect it is to weaken these gifts, to honor it is to allow them to flourish. The whisper may be fragile, but it is also resilient, always ready to return when night falls again. The mystery of REM is that it is both fully explained and not explained at all. Science can trace the circuits, measure the waves, map the chemicals. It can show us which regions of the brain glow and which rest, but it cannot tell us why the dream took the shape it did, why one memory returned while another was lost, why an image stirred such feeling. That part remains elusive, hidden in the whisper itself. Perhaps it is not meant to be solved. Perhaps it is enough to know that REM is essential, that its whisper keeps us whole, that its mysteries are part of its beauty. To dream is to embrace the unknown, to accept that some truths are meant to be lived, not dissected. And so as the sun rises and the eyes open, the whisper falls silent, waiting for night to return. Its work is done for now, its gifts given, its mysteries offered. But it will come again, faithful and quiet, carrying dreams and emotions, memories and creativity. It will build its theaters, paint its visions, heal its wounds. Each night, without fail, it will whisper through the brain, reminding us of the hidden rhythms that sustain life. The whisper of REM is not loud, not commanding, but it is essential. It is the voice of the sleeping brain, the poetry of the night, the secret current that carries us through darkness into dawn. To honor it is to honor ourselves. To listen is to live in harmony with the rhythms of life, and to dream is to let the whisper speak. The mind is a mirror, and each night in sleep it turns inward to reflect itself. In waking hours, the mirror is turned outward, catching the light of the world, faces, voices, colors, and shapes. But when the eyes close and the world is hidden in darkness, the mirror tilts. It no longer shows what is outside, it shows what is within. This is the gift of imagination, revealed most clearly in dreams. Each night, the mirror of imagination awakens, reflecting fragments of memory, shadowed emotions, and sparks of creativity. It does not give us an exact copy of life. Instead, it bends and reshapes, creating visions that are at once familiar and strange. To dream is to see yourself reflected, but not as you are, rather, as a fluid image painted in the language of the unconscious. The mirror of imagination is not made of glass, but of neurons. Billions of them, connected in endless webs, create patterns that light and fade with each moment of thought. By day, they mirror the world outside, capturing sights and sounds and feelings. By night, freed from external demands, they mirror the self. Dreams are this inner reflection, the brain's way of seeing itself from within, yet the image is never simple. Just as a mirror can warp, elongate, or fragment, so too does imagination reshape what it reflects. This is why a familiar face may appear with the wrong voice, or a childhood home may open into a landscape of stars. The mirror does not lie, but neither does it show reality as it is. It shows reality as it is felt, remembered, and transformed. Scientists have long wondered why imagination thrives in sleep. Brain scans reveal the paradox. During REM, regions tied to vision, emotion, and memory glow brightly, while those tied to logic and control grow quiet. This imbalance frees the imagination from the strict lines of reason. In waking life, the prefrontal cortex acts as a stern guardian, keeping thought ordered and precise. But in dreams, its voice fades. The mirror of imagination is left unguarded, free to reflect without rules. It is this freedom that allows dreams to wander through impossible paths, to blend time and place, to dissolve and reform like shifting water. To dream is to see what the mind creates when it is unchained. The mirror is not idle in this state. It is not merely entertainment. Within the strange reflections lies deep work. The hippocampus, keeper of memory, replays fragments of the day, offering them to the cortex for storage. The amygdala, bearer of emotion, colors these fragments with feeling. The occipital lobe paints them with imagery, while the limbic system strings them into narrative. Together, they create the dream, a reflection of both memory and imagination. The mirror of imagination is not a passive surface. It is an active artist, reshaping the self through nightly visions. To look into it is to glimpse the inner workshop of the mind. Dreams often feel like riddles, their meaning unclear, their images shifting. But this may be the mirror's way of working with symbols rather than facts. By blending and disguising, imagination allows the brain to process what might be too heavy, too complex, too unpolished for direct reflection. A fear may appear as a chase through shadowed streets, a hope may appear as flight through open skies, a sorrow may be shown as an endless search. These are not random illusions, but emotional truths, reflected in the mirror of imagination. To dream is to see feelings in disguise, to watch the heart translated into images. The mirror speaks in metaphors, and though we may not always understand, the reflection shapes us. History is filled with accounts of people who glimpsed themselves in this mirror and awoke changed. Philosophers, poets, and scientists alike have spoken of dreams that revealed insights or inspired creations. The chemist Kekulé dreamed of a serpent biting its tail and discovered the structure of the benzene ring. The writer Mary Shelley dreamed of a vision that became her novel, Frankenstein. Musicians have woken with melodies, artists with visions of color and form. These moments are not accidents. They are reflections caught in the mirror of imagination, fragments of the mind's hidden labor revealed in symbolic form. To dream is to create, even if we do not always recognize it as creation. Yet the mirror of imagination also shows us shadows. Nightmares are reflections too, though darker and more difficult to face. They reveal fears, anxieties, traumas, sometimes so vividly that the dreamer wakes in panic. Though unpleasant, these reflections have purpose. They allow the mind to confront what it might avoid in waking life. They rehearse danger, prepare for fear, or process unresolved pain. The mirror does not soften everything. Sometimes it reveals the stark truth of vulnerability. Even then, it is still a gift, a way of seeing what lies within, however frightening. To wake from a nightmare is to carry a trace of that shadow, but also to have faced it in safety, within the boundaries of sleep. The universality of dreaming suggests that the mirror of imagination is part of what it means to be human. Across cultures and centuries, people have told of visions in the night, of dreams that guided, warned, or inspired. Though interpretations differ, some seeing divine messages, others seeing echoes of memory, the experience itself is the same. All humans dream, and in dreaming, all look into the same mirror, though each sees a different reflection. This is what makes dreams both personal and universal, intimate yet shared. The mirror belongs to each of us, but it is also a thread that connects us all. Every night, billions of mirrors turn inward, glowing with imagination, reflecting the endless diversity of the human mind. What the mirror reveals is not static. It changes with life, reflecting the stages of growth and aging. Children dream in bursts, their REM abundant, their reflections vivid and unrestrained. Adults dream with complexity, their mirrors shaped by years of memory and experience. The elderly still dream, though often less vividly, their mirrors quieter but still glowing. Through every stage, imagination reflects what matters most, adapting to the needs of the self. The mirror is not fixed, but alive, shifting as we shift, carrying us through the seasons of life. To see dreams as reflections is to see them as both truth and distortion. They are not exact portraits, but they are not meaningless either. They are the mind's way of seeing itself, not in detail but in essence. They reveal what weighs on us, what delights us, what we fear, what we hope. They show us not only who we are but who we might become. To gaze into the mirror of imagination is to see possibility as well as memory, to glimpse futures as well as pasts. The reflection is not only of what has been but also of what could be. This is why dreams inspire, why they haunt, why they linger. The mirror reflects not only the self but the horizon. And so each night the mirror of imagination awakens, tilts inward and reflects. We may not always look into it with clarity. We may forget its images, dismiss its visions, or struggle to understand its symbols. But the reflection is always there, shaping us in silence. To honor sleep is to honor this mirror, to give it time to show what lies within. For in its shifting images, its strange reflections, lies the story of the self, not fixed, not rigid, but fluid, alive, endlessly creating. To dream is to reflect, and to reflect is to be human. The mirror of imagination does not simply reflect what is within. It reshapes, refracts, and transforms. To follow its glow into the deeper hours of night is to watch the mind create worlds that never were, to feel emotions unanchored from their sources, to glimpse memories dressed in disguises. This is not distortion for its own sake. It is the brain's way of processing, balancing, and exploring. The mirror bends reality not to trick us, but to reveal truths that may be too complex for daylight. In its shifting images, we find healing, insight, and wonder, though often in forms so strange that we scarcely recognize their purpose. One of the greatest gifts of this mirror is the way it weaves memory. Each day floods the brain with impressions, faces glimpsed, words spoken, lessons learned, sensations felt. By night, the hippocampus gathers these fragments and offers them to the cortex, where they are stored more permanently. But the mirror of imagination does not simply record them. It replays and reshapes them, combining them with older memories, testing their weight and discarding what is not needed. Dreams are the visible signs of this weaving. Why show us the fabric as it is being stitched, threads of new and old interlaced? A dream may place you back in childhood, but with today's worries woven in. It may merge a recent conversation with a long-forgotten place. These are not errors, they are the patterns of memory being laid into the self. Through this process, the mirror also teaches forgetting. Not every memory is worth keeping. Not every detail deserves a place in the architecture of identity. Dreams often highlight the important by contrast, replaying what matters and letting the trivial fade. This selective remembering and forgetting is what allows the mind to remain clear rather than cluttered. Without it, memory would be an endless archive, overwhelming in its detail. The mirror of imagination trims as well as preserves, ensuring that the self carried into the day is not burdened by noise, but balanced by meaning. Emotion flows freely in this mirror, more vividly than in waking life. Dreams are often filled with feelings that overwhelm their images, fear sharper than any real chase, joy deeper than any real reunion, grief that lingers even after waking. This intensity is the work of the amygdala, bright and active during REM. It colors the reflection with passion, ensuring that memory is tied not only to fact but to feeling. This is why the memories that shape us most are emotional ones, and why dreams so often return us to the moments that stirred us deeply. The mirror shows not only what happened, but how it felt, and in doing so, it shapes the self at its core. Yet the mirror is also playful. Freed from logic, it experiments boldly, combining fragments in ways that waking thought would never allow. This play is not meaningless. It is creativity in its purest form. Musicians may wake with melodies, artists with visions, thinkers with solutions glimpsed in dreams. These gifts emerge from the mirror's ability to combine without restraint, to blend the unlikely into the possible. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's governor of logic, rests during REM, leaving imagination unchained. In this state, the mirror reflects not the world as it is, but the world as it might be, opening doors to invention and inspiration. This is why so much of human creativity has roots in dreams. The mirror shows us not only ourselves, but what we might create. Nightmares are reflections too, though darker and harder to face. In the mirror of imagination, fear often takes center stage, appearing in the form of pursuit, danger, loss, or helplessness. Though painful, these visions may serve an important function. Some researchers believe they help the brain rehearse survival, preparing us for threats by simulating them in safety. Others suggest they are ways of processing trauma, letting the mind confront pain indirectly. Whatever their purpose, nightmares remind us that the mirror does not flatter. It shows not only the light but the shadows. To dream is to face both, and in facing them to grow stronger. The mirror of imagination also reflects culture. The content of dreams varies across societies, shaped by the symbols and stories familiar to the dreamer. In one culture, a snake may be seen as wisdom, in another as danger. In one, a river may mean life, in another, loss. The mirror reflects what is inside, but what is inside is always shaped by the world outside. This is why dreams feel both personal and collective, tied to individual experience yet speaking the language of culture. They are mirrors not only of the self, but of the society that surrounds it. Animals too carry their mirrors. A sleeping cat twitches, chasing prey imagined in the night. A dog's paws move as if running, its breath quickening in pursuit. Birds show tiny bursts of REM, their eyes flickering with unseen visions. Even infants who cannot yet speak or reason dream vividly, their REM abundant as their brains grow and connect. This suggests that the mirror of imagination is not merely decoration but necessity woven deep into evolution. To dream is to practice, to prepare, to survive. The reflection may seem strange, but its purpose is ancient and universal. The mirror also connects us to time. In its reflections, past and present merge, and sometimes even the future is glimpsed, not in prophecy but in preparation. To dream of an exam may be rehearsal, to dream of travel may be readiness, to dream of loss may be resilience built quietly in advance. The mirror shows what was and what is, but also what might come, giving the mind a chance to prepare before waking life demands it. This is why dreams often feel prophetic, though they are not. They are rehearsals, reflections bent toward possibility. Science has illuminated much of the mirror's process, but mystery remains. Why some dreams are remembered while others vanish, why certain symbols return again and again, why imagination takes the forms it does. These questions are still unanswered. Perhaps they cannot be answered fully. Perhaps. The mirror is not meant to be decoded but experienced, its value lying not in interpretation but in effect. What matters is not whether we understand every reflection, but that we are shaped by them. The mirror does its work regardless, in silence unseen, its reflections dissolving at dawn but leaving their traces in who we become. And so each night the mirror of imagination awakens, tilts inward and reflects. It reflects memory, shaping it into permanence. It reflects emotion, binding it into identity. It reflects creativity, offering sparks of invention. It reflects culture, shaping symbols into stories. It reflects fear, preparing us for survival. And above all, it reflects the self, not as a fixed image, but as a shifting, fluid being, alive with possibility. To dream is to see oneself in motion, becoming, creating, adapting. The mirror of imagination is not a static surface, but a living one, as changeable as water, as infinite as the mind. To gaze into it is to see not only who we are, but who we might yet become. The mirror of imagination glows most brightly in the final hours before dawn, and then like mist dissolving in sunlight it fades. Yet what it leaves behind is not emptiness but change. We awaken not with perfect memory of the night's visions, but with a subtle shift in mind and heart. A heaviness has lifted, a thought feels clearer, a feeling sits more gently within us. These are the true reflections of the mirror, less the images we recall, more the quiet shaping that remains unseen. Just as water shapes stone slowly, invisibly, the mirror of imagination shapes the self each night, leaving traces that guide our waking life. In these final dreams, the mirror often grows most elaborate. Stories stretch longer, settings expand, characters take on life. Entire landscapes are painted in the space of minutes, infused with emotion so vivid that waking feels like breaking from another world. These last dreams, closest to waking, are the ones most often remembered. They are the mirror's final sketches, offered before it dims. Some remain for days, others dissolve within moments, but all serve the same purpose: To reflect, to rehearse, to balance. To carry a dream into the day is to carry a fragment of that reflection, a reminder of the mind's hidden work. The purpose of these reflections may not be fully knowable, but their effects are undeniable. People who sleep and dream deeply awaken with sharper memory, steadier emotion, and brighter creativity. Those who lose the mirror's nightly work struggle, forgetting more, feeling heavier, finding imagination dimmed. This contrast reveals what science has long confirmed. Dreams are not indulgence but necessity. They are the brain's natural way of reflecting, rehearsing, and restoring. The mirror of imagination is as vital as breath or heartbeat. Without it, the self frays. With it, the self renews. The universality of the mirror reminds us that we are part of something larger. Every human who has ever lived has dreamed. Every culture has told stories of visions in the night. Every creature, from kitten to dolphin to bird, has shown signs of dreamlike states. The mirror of imagination is not an invention of humans. It is a rhythm of life itself. To dream is to participate in a chorus older than language, older than civilization. Each night, billions of mirrors turn inward, glowing with imagination, reflecting lives unique yet connected. This shared rhythm binds us not only to each other but to the living world. Dreams are not private illusions, they are part of the fabric of life. And yet the mirror is deeply personal. Its reflections belong to no one else. No two dreams are the same, no two imaginations alike. What you see in your mirror, no other person will see in theirs. This is the paradox. The mirror is both shared and singular, universal and unique. It connects us while reminding us of our individuality. In this balance lies beauty. Dreams are both the most intimate and the most common of human experiences. They are the private theater of the mind, yet they are a stage upon which all minds perform. Nightmares too belong to this mirror. They may unsettle, even terrify, but they serve their own purpose. They bring into view the fears and shadows we may avoid by day. They allow us to face them in safety within the boundaries of sleep. Some nightmares reflect trauma, others rehearsal for survival, others simple echoes of stress. Whatever their source, they remind us that the mirror does not flatter. It shows not only the light but the dark. To dream is to reflect the whole self, both strength and vulnerability, both hope and fear. The mirror is honest, even when honesty is hard. The mirror also shows us possibility. In dreams, we are not bound by the rules of waking life. We fly, we breathe underwater, we walk through walls, we speak with the departed. These visions are not literal, but they remind us of imagination's reach. They show us that the mind is capable of more than we allow it in daylight. They whisper of invention, of creation, of perspectives beyond the ordinary. Many breakthroughs have come from such whispers, works of art, discoveries of science, solutions to problems. The mirror of imagination is not only a healer but a muse. It gives us glimpses of what might be, and in doing so, it expands the horizons of what is. When morning comes, the mirror dims. Its reflections vanish into forgetfulness, its glow hidden until night returns, but its work endures. We rise carrying memory reinforced, emotion balanced, creativity stirred. We may not recall the dream, but we live by its effects. The mirror does not demand recognition. It works silently, invisibly, faithfully. Each night it reflects, each morning it restores. This is its rhythm, unbroken, as essential as breath. To honor it is to honor life itself, to give imagination its place, to allow reflection its time. To neglect it is to weaken the self, to silence the mirror's wisdom. And so the story of the mirror of imagination closes in the same way it began, with wonder. We cannot fully explain its reflections, but we can feel their truth. We cannot hold its images, but we can carry their weight. We cannot command its visions, but we can trust their purpose. The mirror is not glass but mind, not fixed but fluid, not silent but whispering. It shows us who we are, not in rigid detail but in shifting possibility. It reflects our past, colors our present, prepares our future. Each night it awakens, each morning it fades. Yet always it works, shaping us in ways unseen. To dream is to gaze into the mirror of imagination. To awaken is to live in the reflection it has made.